Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a seriously chilling, documented case study of paranormal terror. If you're someone who actively follows real horror stories, or maybe you're always searching for a genuine Sachi Kahani, a true story, then you are going to want to pay close attention to this one. We're going to completely map out the anatomy of a haunting, looking at the actual evidence and accounts from that night to figure out what really went down.
So, let's just get right into it. We're looking at the historical lore of the luxurious, super antique Langham Hotel in London. Specifically, we need to talk about the infamous Room 333. The backstory of this room is absolutely brutal. According to the history books, way back in the Victorian era, a doctor and his new wife checked into Room 333 for their honeymoon. But there was no happy ending here. The doctor actually murdered his wife right there in the room, and then he took his own life. And the legend says that ever since that gruesome night, his spirit has just been trapped there, wandering around Room 333.
Now look at this contrast, because it's actually wild. On the left, we have our subject, Annie. She's a 25-year-old British journalist who shoots documentaries about paranormal investigations. But here is the kicker. She is a total hardline skeptic. She is entirely logical, completely evidence-based, and makes a living debunking fake hauntings. She honestly thought the scariest thing she'd find at a luxury hotel was the room service bill. On the right, you have Room 333, a space just completely saturated in this bloody, violent history. Annie's plan was super simple. Spend one night, record the lack of activity, debunk the myth, and go home. She had absolutely no idea she was walking into a nightmare that would leave her at Hamada, essentially half dead.
Okay, so Annie gets to the Langham, and the vibe immediately shifts. You know that feeling when the psychological tension just starts building out of nowhere? Yeah, that. She's in this gorgeous lobby, hands the receptionist her booking for Room 333, and the woman's welcoming smile just vanishes, literally freezes. She forces a smile back, but the mask totally slipped. Plus, Annie travels a lot, right? She knows modern hotels use key cards. But instead, they hand her this heavy, antique, physical key. And to make things even weirder, when she gets up there, the rest of the hotel is super busy, but the third floor is just completely, utterly deserted.
As she's walking down that empty corridor, it's like the architecture itself is trying to isolate her. It feels like something straight out of NH24 Ki Duravni Roth. The paintings are faded, these dim yellow wall lamps are casting these crazy long shadows everywhere, and the floorboards are just creaking with every single step. But the biggest red flag? When she finally gets to the polished wood door of Room 333 and grabs the heavy brass handle, it is unnervingly, impossibly cold. She steps inside and it's pitch black. The room has this really heavy, imposing Victorian style with a massive bed and a huge full-length mirror right across from it. But Annie is a pro. She doesn't panic. She goes straight into her meticulous protocol to capture hard evidence, which kind of gives her this false sense of security. Suitcase down, tripod up, camera rolling, mic configured. She is literally trying to force scientific order onto a space that completely defies it, thinking her tech is going to protect her.
The crazy part is how normal the night starts off. It's a chilly November evening, so she lights a little fire in the fireplace, orders a sandwich, and just sits on the sofa researching the hotel's history on her laptop. Camera's on, mic is hot, she's doing her thing. Eventually, she just drifts off to sleep right there on the couch. Hours go by, total silence, and then deep in the middle of the night, she is jolted awake. Just a distinct, heavy knock at the door.
She's super groggy, right? Completely disoriented. She hears the knock again, and then this guy's voice says, "Your room service, madam." Now think about why that's so terrifying. She already got her sandwich hours ago. She definitely didn't order anything else. Figuring it's just a mix-up, she looks through the peephole. And out in that totally deserted corridor, she sees a butler holding a silver tray with one of those large metal lids on top of it.
So she actually opens the door to tell the guy he's got the wrong room, but the butler insists it's for her. He reaches down and lifts the lid. And guys, her entire logical worldview just shatters in a second, because sitting on that silver plate is not food, it is literally her own decapitated head. She lets out this blood-curdling scream and squeezes her eyes shut in pure panic. And when she opens them like a millisecond later, the butler's gone, the tray's gone, the hallway's completely empty. She slams the door, just absolutely terrified.
Being the hardcore skeptic she is, she desperately wants a logical explanation. So she rushes over to check her foolproof recording setup, but it completely fails her. Look at this breakdown. She expected the camera to have caught the butler in the hallway, right?
Nope, the SD card is inexplicably corrupted. She expected the mic to have recorded the knocking in the guy's voice, but the audio playback only has the sound of the door opening, closing, and her own terrified screaming. All that science and technology gave her absolutely zero proof.
It hits exactly 1 a.m., and the environment inside the room completely flips. That little fire she lit earlier, it's still burning bright, but the room is getting inexplicably intensely freezing. This is a huge transition point in our explainer, because sure, a skeptic could say the butler thing was just a sleep-deprived hallucination, but a massive temperature drop while a fire is actively burning, that is a tangible, physical shift happening in the room.
Totally overwhelmed, Annie backs into the bathroom just to splash some cold water on her face and ground herself. But as she looks up into the bathroom mirror, she gets ambushed. Standing right behind her reflection is a man, and he is a perfect match for the historical lore. Torn Victorian clothes, a literally rotting face, and these incredibly long nails reaching right for her throat. She violently spins around to confront him, but the bathroom is completely empty.
Things just absolutely spiral from here. Pure panic sets in. Annie decides she has to get out, so she grabs her stuff and runs to the main door. But it won't move. It's like someone locked it from the outside. She is literally trapped in room 333. Then, every single light in the room starts violently flickering. And in those strobing flashes, the entity fully manifests. It's the Victorian man again, but now his body is entirely stark white, and he has these piercing, glowing yellow eyes, and he's just slowly, deliberately walking right toward her. She starts screaming for her life.
The hotel staff hear these insane screams, run up to the third floor, and force their way into the room. But guys, here is the most chilling twist of this entire explainer. From the staff's perspective, there is no ghost. There's no guy with glowing yellow eyes. They find Annie completely alone in the bathroom, but she is violently, repeatedly smashing her own head into the glass of the mirror. It's already shattered, she's got glass embedded in her face, screaming like a maniac. The staff literally have to tackle her to stop her from killing herself before she finally blacks out.
When she finally comes to in the hotel's medical room, she is incredibly traumatized, but she reveals the terrifying reality of what was actually happening. She wasn't trying to hurt herself. She tells them that the ghost had physically grabbed her by the back of the head and was forcefully slamming her into that mirror. This is a textbook example of demonic possession, when a malevolent entity takes over and forces a victim to recreate its past actions. Because, as the hotel staff later confirmed, smashing her head into the mirror is exactly how the Victorian doctor murdered his wife all those centuries ago.
Annie obviously survived, but the psychological scars from room 333, those are forever. She walked into that place with cameras, mics, and total confidence in objective reality, and she was carried out on a stretcher by the very history she was trying to debunk. It really leaves us with this haunting question. Can logic and science actually explain every single truth out there? Or are there some dark corners of the world that just completely defy human comprehension? Definitely something to think about the next time you try to capture the unknown. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, guys. Stay curious and stay safe.